Check, check, mic check, mic check. You got it? Okay. Perfect. Thank you. Check, check, mic check, mic check. You got it? Mic check, mic check. You got it? Mic check, mic check.
Perfect.
You got it?
I appreciate you so much. Perfect.
You got it?
I appreciate you so much. Perfect.
You got it?
I appreciate you so much. Perfect.
You got it?
Okay, okay, so we're going to have a welcome reminder from excellent women are always. Okay. Good morning, everybody. So wonderful to be there, beautiful women and dynamic women and talking women. So I'm Jack, the University of Maryland, Scottsdale, and it is such a pleasure to be here with you for the Women's History Month Economic Development event presented by William Mary Mastermind Academy. And this is always amazing to be in the presence of event. She has done a remarkable job of always advocating for women. For small businesses or bipartisan businesses, are making sure that resources, the tools, and information is available to in Arizona. So thank you so much for coming out. Welcome to Skid Trap. So welcome to this event. And we appreciate you coming out and supporting the information that we share. So next, I'd like to introduce Skid Trap Law, who is to provide excuse me, I'm the time. Fabulous. Thank me all day. 2 minutes. Goodness. Good morning, everybody. It's so nice to see all of your shining faces. I'm really excited to be standing up here. Just a quick introduction, Cameron Robb. I'm the Senior Economic Development Director for the Arizona Public Service, for Arizona Public Service. And so basically what that means, because obviously we're the public utilities, so we keep the lights on. And I have the joy of working with the state and our regional partners and communities all across Arizona, specifically within EPS territory, to bring new business. And so if there's somebody who needs power for their operation, they come to me, and that's where it all starts. So interestingly enough, and I'm a Phoenix native, I'm fourth generation. So I've been here for a long time, and I was able to meet with Velma in 2020, the week of the pandemic, and get her started bringing out her company to Phoenix. And between Phoenix and LA, if I remember properly. So I had to make the case for Phoenix. I have never been more glad about a decision or relationship in my entire life. The reason it's important is because the work that she does is so heartfelt and so purposeful. So I'm also very honored to be a board member of the Millionaire Mastermind Academy, which I'm sure you're all familiar with that. The mission of that organization is to lift up women through business to end poverty through entrepreneurship. And that's something that's also near and dear to APS and the work that I do with our company, because we support entrepreneurship, we support small business, and we support our communities. So it's just important to know that between us, there are endless resources to help you as you're preparing yourselves to grow. And that's what today is all about. So very excited to be here for the 6th annual Women's History, History Month program. And I think it's really important as we embark on this journey of reflection together, because we have to think about where we start. Now, I'm a woman's woman, and I'm a cheerleader, and I'm a cheerleader at heart, and I think that that's part of my purpose, is bringing women together, and that's what Nolan does so well, and that's what everyone on the stage is going to be here to talk to us about, is how we reflect back on the major milestones of women throughout history, not only honoring the legacy that they brought to us today, but now we get to talk about how we continue to move forward. And so that's really what we're doing, and I want everybody in here, as a female leader and a trailblazer, just showing up is part of the path to success. So you are a success sitting in these seats and being here with us today, so please give yourselves a round of applause. So as we continue to lift up the women before us who shattered barriers and paved the way for us, we would also like to thank our sponsors. Of course, we have JP Morgan Chase, who has been an incredible sponsor. Not only today, but for many events prior to this, in the mission of Millionaire Mastermind Academy, this has been a wonderful partnership. Also, thanks to Walmart. Really appreciate the support in this room, for the support to Walmart. And to have that support at this scale means the world. But also like to thank the city of Scottsdale. I have a fun memory walking through this space before it was painted and before it was given the spirit that Velma brought to it, just a blank canvas. The city of Scottsdale has been an incredible partner and support, not sponsor from today, but from day one. So thank you for that. So without further ado, let's start on our journey of discussing basically gender equality and women's empowerment in our communities and beyond. So we're going to hear from these lovely ladies up here. Of course, we have Monica Villalobos. She is the CEO of the Arizona Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. And then Heather Lennon, who is the CEO of Imagine General Contracting and Development. And Ashley Kelly, of course, who's the Senior VP Business Consultant for JP Morgan Chase. Dr. Velma Trahan, our fearless leader, CEO and founder of the Millionaire Mastermind Academy. And last but not least, such a joy to meet you in person finally, Erin Floyd, a fellow board member, all the way from Kansas. Area leader for Phyllis Bank. Thank you for making your way out here to join us for today. And we're going to kick this off with kind of a TED Talk style format. So get ready to take notes. Get ready to be inspired. We're going to start with Monica. I really appreciate it. Thank you, of course, to you, Dr. Villalobos, makes it all happen. I have to tell you, I was just a little bit nervous coming because every time you come to a women's event, the shoe brings. It is wrong. And so I'm always like, I gotta level up my game. Like, I'm worried about this stuff when I go to men's events, right? The regular events. But anyway, thank you again so much. This is so exciting to be here with all of you. I know we're talking about leadership and success and purpose-driven leadership. And as I reflected on this topic, I thought about what I call the 3 L's of leadership. And the most important thing, I think, first, before I get to those 3 L's, is the idea of servant leadership. A lot of people talk about servant leadership. It's buzzword, there are books written on it, everybody's an expert in it. And I think what people forget is that you have to serve before you lead, right? Everyone says, well, I'm a leader, but how did you serve this organization? How did you serve this community? That should always be the first question when you talk about servant leadership. And so the other kind of components that I think there are, and I'm gonna trust you, keep me on time there, okay? The first one is always listen, right? That's the first L of leadership, listen. I like to say, if you want to be heard, stop talking. Yeah. Listen, right? Stop talking and listen, because that's where you get the needs of other people that you're serving. That's how you better understand the dynamic of a group or of a community, by listening to what their needs are. Servant leaders are not there to have you follow their vision. It's to follow your vision, right? We represent you. And so that's why every time I introduce myself, I said, I serve as the principal CEO of your Arizona Synod Chamber of Commerce. It's not mine. I just work for you all. And so listening is really one of those critical skills. And the beautiful thing about listening is that you can hone that skill, right? You can constantly improve upon it. And that's why it's so critical. The second L in leadership is learn. I'm a lifelong learner, right? We can learn from everybody. And when people ask, who would be the best advice in your career? I would say my mother did. My mother and my grandmother, because I can remember early on in my career, I would talk to them and I'd come home and, oh, sticks, they haven't done. And my grandmother would say, what's the easiest solution? It's not that simple. It's far more complicated than you could possibly understand, grandma. And she'd be like, no, I don't think it is. She says, you already have the answer. But you have to learn from everyone, whether it's your family, it's your colleagues, it's learning is not reciprocity. What are we teaching to each other? What are we learning from each other? And that, I think, is one of the most crucial, aside from listening, is learning. There's a wonderful 17th century nun from Mexico, Sofía Inés de la Cruz, and she said, I study not to know more, but to ignore less. And so that's a whole different perspective, right? It's this whole world going on, and you're looking for something without seeing what's already in front of you, without learning from that, taking that in. So I think that's, again, one of those pieces that you can always do. You can be a lifelong learner. I'm telling my boys right now who are very 12 and very 14, that it doesn't end at high school, right? Or college even. You're going to be learning your whole life. So learn to enjoy that and learn to find those nuggets from everybody else. And I assure you, with this kind of, you're going to get a whole bunch of nuggets today. So it's really exciting. And then the final L in leadership is the most important, and that's lift each other up.
Yes.
We've got to do away. We have to do away with the mean girl mentality, right? And in Spanish, we say, you don't want to be the crabs in the bucket, right? Pulling each other down. We want to be lifting each other up, because the higher you go, the higher I go. And using your voice is one way to do that, right? Use your voice today so that your daughter or your granddaughter or your niece or your mentee doesn't have to be quieted in the future, right? We can do that today. What we hand off to them is that legacy. And so when you listen to learn from others and lift them up, that's our legacy. That's the leadership legacy. It's really understanding what those 3 L's are, engaging in them, and understanding that leadership, again, is about service.
And, you know, my team will tell you, I was talking to them and I say, you're my internal customer. I'm here to serve you. What do you need to do your job? Because I'm here to make that easier, right? And it's a different perspective. It's a different perspective than I grew up with in my career, right? Where it was very different. I remember having my first boss tell me that I was far too ambitious for a girl. I didn't work there very long. And so, you know, in spite of those things, and also understanding, I share that because, you know, that was the generation, but, you know, men are allies, right? We've engaged in allyship, and those alliances help us bring each other up. When I talk about Hispanic marketing, I say Hispanics are 30% of the state, 40% of the intersection, 50% of our K-12 system. People expect Monica Susana Villalobos to say that from the Hispanic Chamber. They don't expect Dr. Velma Train to say that. And when we advocate for each other, we're all stronger together. And that's something that we continue to learn. So with that, I don't know how much time I have left, but I'm hoping that I do okay on the timing. But those are, again, those 3 L's of leadership. So listen, learn, lift, and lead that legacy. Thank you. And now it is my absolute pleasure to introduce the fabulous and wonderful Heather Rennie.
Thank you. I'm gonna remain seated. I hope that's okay for everybody. There's someone else I'm gonna be when I go up, I guess. I'm very appreciative of being here today. I really, am honored to be around this amazing group of women. I have, spent my life just keeping my head down and working hard. So, getting accolades is new to me. But I really appreciate them, and I really feel like, there is a story to tell, right? And we all need to tell it. And I'll start that story by saying it from us to the people. Right? So I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about me, a little bit about my background, and how I came to be what it is I am right now. I come from a family that has a legacy of entrepreneurship for many, many generations. It is kind of what my family does. Aunts, uncles, cousins, grandparents, great-grandparents, everyone that I am directly related to works for themselves in some capacity. So it's very interesting, and it is absolutely a legacy. I grew up at a dinner table where the conversations that I overheard were about business, were about the things that it requires to run and function and do those things. That I do not believe that our economy is pushed forward by Costco. It's pushed forward by us doing these small, hard things, right? So I had such a benefit of growing up around them. And my parents provided me everything it was that I needed to be successful. But it's all about like, what are you gonna do? So, you know, I had no idea what I was gonna do when I grew up, but I knew I was gonna work for myself. So I went to college, and I went to graduate school. I focused on consumer behavior and retail store design, because I had a sense I was kind of gonna go into that realm. And I am now starting my 7th business. So it's a process, right? My oldest business is in its 26th year. I am a residential commercial general contractor. I have a very nuanced skill set. I focus almost exclusively on the adaptive reuse of old and historic buildings. I say that I'm saving the history of Phoenix one building at a time, and I mean it. It's important that those stories get told. And it's important that as women, that we are heard, and not just that we are heard, but that we are listened to. So it's important to be sitting in these seats because there's just not enough of us. I was awarded the Center City Award by Phoenix Community Alliance this year, and it was kind of having to do with all of the amazing things we're doing downtown with development. And there were probably, gosh, maybe 300 people in the room, and I had to give a little talk. And one of the things that I said was, you know, how many other general contractor or developers do we have in this room that are women? there was one. Right, so there's so much work for us to do. I sit here because she's late, but my 17-year-old will be here. And she absolutely knows that she can be whatever she wants to be when she grows up. But not everyone does, right? My being a woman, my being Jewish has never been an impedance to my success. And that's how it's supposed to be, but it's not always. So it is so important, you know, we've talked about it, just about we rise together, right? And we have, there is no competition here. There's collaboration. And I'll also say that every single one of my businesses has evolved into something I did not expect. And you must be willing to pivot towards the success in business. You cannot be stubborn, or it's much harder. So, you know, I started out with a design firm, and then people started asking me to do more and more. So I ended up getting my residential commercial general contractor's license. And then that evolved into, you know, I really want to start buying my own buildings, buying my own land, doing adaptive reuse for something that can create a legacy for my family. And so that is what I have done. And it of course has evolved into something, oh, there's my late 17-year-old. Right? This is what's getting me late. But no, but I was talking about you and saying that you absolutely know you can be whatever you want to be before what, right? So that's what we all need to get to, right? So I started, I have 2 development companies now. We have some beautiful buildings, beautiful land. We create jobs, right? We rid the city of blight. We are a catalyst and an invitation to others to join us. You know, as an example, I bought a 1918 historic warehouse in some of you might have been before. We now have an event venue business in there called Warehouse 215. It's very beautiful. And no, I cannot get you in a party. I don't want that business. And that brings me to one of the other really, really important points. When you start a business, it is very, very all-encompassing, but you must get out of the weeds. Once you start that business, if you want to continue doing this, you have to pull back once you get what you need going. You need to find your superpower and just do that. So I love having parties, but it's just like someone saying to me, I love risotto, I'm gonna build a restaurant. It doesn't work that way, right? We need those people to have those skill sets to do those things. And in the buildings that I buy, in the buildings that I own, and in the buildings I general contract for others, I want to provide everything that is necessary for you to be successful. And with that, you know, we rise together. There's tons of lessons to be learned. You know, I never assumed that being a general contractor was gonna mean that I was gonna be a developer. I never assumed when being a developer meant that I was gonna own an event venue and an event business, right? I never assumed that out of that would come a cigar business, for goodness sake. Where did that come from? So, you know, but I'm open to that, and I see the opportunity, and I am unafraid. You must be confident being a visionary. It is okay, and we need to get women to accept responsibility for their success and stop apologizing.
Right.
You know, I, for some reason, all of the businesses that I have are male dominated. It's very interesting. That was not by design, but it's just how things evolve. So I am constantly treated like a woman, and we all know what that means, right? I mean, we just had this brief little conversation about the most amazing thing, a group of phenomenal Hispanic women being honored and being on the front of a magazine with us, and the photographer asking them to be sultry.
Wow.
That, right?
This is my culture.
Yeah, exactly. But, you know, I thrive on being underestimated. I am good with that, right? And I think that, you know, So often, if you come on, let's say, one of my construction sites, and I've been doing this for a really long time, my admins are shaking their head right now. You know, if someone doesn't know me and they're looking for the general contractor, they go to the oldest white man in the room, every single time, every single time. And that oldest white man knows me very well, and says, no, it's actually the one with purple hair with a pushing the broom. Right, because I care what my job sites look like, it's about the attention to detail. So I think that there's so much to talk about, and I'm happy to be available to speak to people timely. And please consider me a resource. I really, really believe we rise together. I really believe that as minorities, that we have such a commonality, and that it's something that can be our strength. So I will leave you with, figure out your superpower and just do that, right? Use your powers for good. Okay, be an ally, right? Be of service to the community. Find ways to give back. The things I'm most proud of are the things that I do for other people. I mean, the cigar business, which I love, it's my chosen vice. We have the benefit of having something that's very appealing to people. And let's see, last year I donated an event to Boys and Girls Club, Scottsdale, and it sold for $18,000. Thank you. And I also donated to Dress for Success Phoenix with our amazing friend. They made $40,000 and it helped 100 women. That. So those are the things, right? And even try to think things out of the norm that you can give help and give service. When I was remodeling the building that now is Warehouse 215, we have 28,000 square feet of air conditioned space in South Phoenix. I called Maricopa County Health Services. It was the end of COVID, and I asked them if they needed any space to give vaccines. Because I had an air conditioned building in a not nice area of town, filled with brown people that no one cares about, right? They did not need any help at that time, but they interviewed me and they asked me what populations I wanted to serve. And I said, anyone who is marginalized. End of story. So about 3 months later, they contacted us, and I am now so proud to say we vaccinated over 5,000 Phoenicians against monkeypox and measles. So, yeah, so not today. Well, I start with, if not us, then who? It is up to each of us, right? And I do leave that legacy, that one sitting right there, and she is going to be our next generation of women who gathers others with her and rises together.
Sorry, and I don't think you needed introductions. Okay. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday, Monday. I love this topic and I love the women that I get to be on this panel with. And I just told, I think I told Heather, like, you guys are inspiration. You guys make me want to do better and to step my game up. And that's the beauty of being around women to uplift and inspire us. And so when I was looking at the topic of purposeful leadership, there's a lot that goes into that. But the things that stand out to me is, as a leader, you have to both be a leader and a follower. And leaders are not dictators. They're not people that come in and throw the axe down and make you adapt to them. As a leader, you need to be able to humble yourself and adapt to the people that you're working with, because everybody is different. And everybody's gonna respond differently. So it can't be just hitting your goal or hitting a metrics, right? You have to find what motivates an individual person. And you need to do this in every part of your life, right? How do I get the best version of that person? You need to be with integrity, you need to be authentic, and you have to actually show people that you care. That makes a huge difference. Especially when you're in a leadership position, because what do leaders do? Good leaders have influence. And for you to be able to influence others, you have to be coming from a good foundation. So that you can then allow people to trust in you, and then that's when you see your hitting your numbers and your metrics, because now you've invested in an individual, and that individual then will do anything you ask. That is the point. Leaders are not dictators, so if you go into a job just trying to tell people and force them to do things that maybe they don't even have an interest or like in, you're not gonna hit your goals. And you're not gonna build others, and I love the fact that you need to invest into others and to build into others, because you're just there to serve a purpose, right? It's the people that are coming behind you, how are you uplifting them? Have you invested in them? Have you seen what their goals are? Or maybe you're having them do an assignment or a job duty that they are not even good at. Or they don't even like, because you haven't taken the time to sit down and figure out what their interests are. You have to do that as a leader, and you have to be able to listen. Heard Monica say that, active listening, stop talking. You're gonna get all the answers you need if you listen correctly, or you ask the right question and then be quiet. And I have a problem with that, because I talk a lot. I had to learn it, right, I had to learn that, do a lot of therapy and coaching. Because I'm like, as women, sometimes we don't really want to be the superwoman, fix everything, right? We can't. Sometimes we take a step back and listen. And then when you're listening, what are you doing with that information? You can sit there and listen and not take anything in. Because you're already thinking about the next step of how to fix something. So you have to be actively listening. So that way you can then take that information and repurpose it and then truly help the individual or whoever it is that you're helping, right? And I feel like as a woman, and I've been in corporate America, and I've heard lots of stuff, and I've had bosses that talk down to me that just don't see my potential, or I'm sensitive or emotional. I think there's a lot of stuff, like I hear all of that. But they were talking about finding your superpower. As a woman, that is a superpower that you can tap into your emotions. And you can then feed that into others, and you can feel empathy, you can see that. That is a superpower, that is not a detriment, that is not, that's not a failure. And it's okay to feel feelings, that's healthy. Cause I had days where I go and I cried, cause I was upset because someone talked badly about me or talked down to me. I went home, had my feelings, guess what I did? I got up the next day and I came back in a different spirit. That's what you do, embrace those things. That is purposeful leadership, that's how you get to where you're going, because you have the right intention, you're speaking life into others, you're actively listening, and then you're moving based off of that information. That's how you build confidence, and that's how you build your own future and how you dictate, because now you can say, my staff loves me, and what did they remember is, I'm not helping the organization, so what is my next move? Because they can't tell me I have people complaining against me, they can't tell me I'm not meeting my goals, so I'm doing all those things now. Now I have more control of how I'm gonna move forward, my career, or into my business or my situation. That is a form of taking control of your own destiny and where you're going. And then once you have that, the confidence, can't nobody take that away from you. Now you're moving different, you're showing up different, you're talking different, right? When you're in those rooms and you're at the table where maybe you're the only female. Now I have confidence to say, no, I had my numbers, did you? My team loves me. You know, you have a different air about you, and that's what you need to do. When you think about purposeful leadership, what is your intention stepping into the situation? What do I want to gain from that? Be authentic and don't be anybody but yourself. If you want to wear pink, wear pink. I don't care. I got a pink suit, I got pink shoes, I got pink everywhere. Be that and show up as yourself, because now you're letting other people know that you're listening to them, you're feeling them, but they also see you being you. And so that's what they feel comfortable doing, being them. So a lot of times we don't even think about how we're influencing and how we're helping others by just being us and being true and being good people and showing that we care. That makes a lot of changes. And it took a long time for me to figure that out. It took me some time. You go through that, but when you do that,
you have a whole different confidence about yourself, and that's what I want women to feel. I want you to know that everything about you is perfect and beautiful. There's nothing wrong with you if you're over emotional or if you feel a certain way. You should be able to speak up and say things however you want. Why should I say however you want?
I'll be ready for them. Sometimes you gotta take a step back, maybe that, maybe things. But you should be able to then still ask the questions, say stuff, speak up. That's my point. I got 3 minutes, okay. I'll leave it with this. Purposeful leadership, be you, be your authentic self, don't let anybody silence your voice. And wear pink if you wanna wear pink.
Yeah.
Great, hey, everybody. I'm super excited. We don't need this mic on because I'm around. It's not because I think I'm ready to enjoy it. But so this is what you get. And so we talked about some great things here. We talked about authenticity. And I want to kind of take a step back because sometimes we don't know what that means. We don't know what it means to be authentic. We don't know who we are. And so for me, a young girl from here, Georgia, Oregon, my mother died when I was 2.5 years old, and my grandparents adopted me. I didn't know who my parents were. I was 12 years old. I didn't know that the person that raised me was no blood relation to me. He was supposed to be my father, whose last name I had. I didn't know that my grandmother was really my grandmother. I thought she was my mother. I didn't know the person's picture that I was looking at was my mother and not my sister. And so at 12 years old, when I found out that I was adopted, I felt rejected. Where's my biological father? Why didn't he want me? Who am I? Who am I? So we talk about authenticity, we talk about being purposeful. What is my purpose? Why am I here? If I understand what and so that took me on a downward spiral of rebellion. And so I ended up in foster care, was a juvenile delinquent, and stole cars. I'm a teen mom. I have an oldest son, he's now 26, I'm here with the other friends. But I had my 15 years of age, and so I was down to only rebellion, ended up in foster care, ended up in juvenile detentions, and I still felt like I don't have a purpose. I don't have an identity. Who am I? I'm trying to be a thug, I can't be. I was telling Ashley earlier, I started in Montessori school, don't read a newspaper at age of 6. By the time I found out I wasn't living, I turned to a college. And so I found myself in a space at the age of 16 years old where I was at a crossroads where they were like, give myself one option. And so in foster care, if you're a high risk child, they have a placement for you, but they also have to have a different placement for you and your baby. There was no placement for me and my son. And so it was that moment the nurse came in, she said, and I know we have people with different beliefs, so I'm going to share my faith. She said, you have a calling, you have purpose, you have an identity, your fingerprint's different, and what they're about to do, they're about to take your baby. And if they take your baby, you won't have it. And at that point, I had to come to a decision, and I asked God, I said, you want to save me, don't take my child, but I will serve you. And so from that moment, my life changed directions. And so I began to start advocating in the foster care system. I began to start going to different conferences and to meet other teenagers, to do things that were different. And so I started advocating for the teenagers that were in the foster care system with me. By the age of 20, I started working academics. I started my career as a part-time seller. I'm working my way up. I've been out in the ranks through that process. I had been at 17, I was raped. I forgot about that, but God is gracious. I went through those situations, but I didn't allow what people tried to define me as become who I was. After when he was loud. And we could be authentic, because my girl Ashley said, I don't want to wear, I'm going to wear it. I'm going to rock it, I'll be the best for that, with the Amazon stuff. I'm gonna wear it, I'm gonna wear it proud. And so for me, I begin to understand together ways who God called me. I would show up in rooms being my authentic self, because I began to discover that, wait a minute, the traumas that I faced were to bring somebody else out of them. The situations that I went through was to help somebody else. So now I go back into the prisons because that couldn't have been me. When I was 15 years of age, my son's father and I decided we were going to rob somebody to a gun. I went to this monster that my kid had run. He was sentenced to 13 years in prison. I would have my son in prison, so I went back to the prisons because women need to realize their life back in incarceration. I go into the drug addiction centers because $1 and foster care are now on heroin and drug, they lost their children. So I go into the addiction centers because they have reimagined their life. And so I sit at the corporate tables now as senior vice president and the Chiefs Bank managing over 17 locations under a $3 billion book business and 127 teammates. I tell my teammates, show up as yourself. Be who you're supposed to be. If you commit a crime and I commit a crime, and you put your fingerprint on something, they're gonna know it was you and they're gonna know it was me. So that means you have a purpose. That means you have a destiny and you are distinct. Whether that's in entrepreneurship, whether that's in leadership, whether that's being a homemaker, whether it's raising the next generation of leaders, you still have a purpose to do. And so last night, I was coming to this world woman, and he is a woman who lead the people that, and I'm coming from a dance something. And every day my prayer is, God connect me to your heart and help me connect your heart to all those I encountered. And you know what he gave me? He gave me brothers. And I was like, oh, you know, I'm drinking and so I heard the scripture, Isaiah 60, verses 1-3, arise and shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord has risen upon you. For behold, darkness will cover the earth, and behold, darkness of peoples. But the Lord will rise upon you, and his glory will appear upon you. Nations will come to your light, and kings to the brightness of your rising. And so he gave me acronyms. I'm not in mind because she gave us an acronym today. And he said, the R, restore feminine grace. But believe that femininity is not weak. That's what Ashley said about your emotions. It's not weak or it's not rebellious, but your gift to nurture is for the world. God gave Adam Eve, and her job was to nurture. We still have a helper called the Holy Spirit that helps us and nurtures us. We're to reveal the broken areas in our lives, our minds, where we have allowed the wrong perceptions or allowed ourselves to limit our ability to advance. The another one, we're to remind ourselves of our purpose. You need to figure out why you're here. You can do that by figuring out, what do I like? What do I dislike? What bothers me? What problem did you create me to solve? I did this for what? It's okay to yell and ask that. What did this for what? Who am I supposed to impact? That is part of your purpose. What problems are you destined to solve? The I is reimagining. Reimagine yourselves and free yourself from competition. Never talk about, we don't compete with each other. I don't have any competition again because I try to walk in your lane, I'm gonna miss my own race. We have to make sure that we are collaborative. I love my big friend Bill. We've been friends for a very long time, and I think we earned to be on the board of the National Academy. But I would like to push people towards this particular venture that she's doing because I believe in the power of collaboration. We are meant to be unified. We can do well together, that we can apply, and we can understand that I don't have to compete with you or compare myself to you, but if I can come alongside you and collaborate with you, we can get a whole lot more done. Consider the ant, they get it. Then inspire ourselves and inspire others to be great. Invite new relationships. Some of us are introverted by nature. That's fine, I'm introverted, right? But it's fun. Enjoy the empowerment that you can bring to somebody else. Invite new relationships. Invite new ideas in your life. And as Heather mentioned, invite new business opportunities. Don't be afraid to step out there. Separate yourself from the old ways. No, yes. Separate yourself from the old ways. The ways you used to do things. I got 3 minutes. I'm gonna stop you. Separate yourself from the old ways, the way you used to do things. If it didn't work before, don't reevaluate that. And that's even in relationships. You don't have to take abuse. You don't have to lay down and take people telling you you're not enough and you're not sufficient and you can't make it. Separate yourself from that. Come from among that. And then study. Be a student of your life. Be a student of the business you want to go into. Before I'm done, we sat there on camera stalking and told her to come down here to Arizona. Bella studied the land. She studied the land out before she moved. Study where you want to go. Study the next business adventure. Before I joined this, boy, no. I watched her on that. She was going to get to that line, and I'm like, let me see what she doing. The name is my name. Another, I'm like, go show up, so I make sure it's legit. And she showed herself to be consistent. And I want to say this last ask before we get to the details. Stop it. Stop sabotaging yourself. Stop telling yourself you don't have what it takes. And start embracing and enjoying the new life, enjoying who you. And then for enjoy life and enjoy the journey. The sisters were trying to gather around early and so much got some vacation. Enjoy life, enjoy the journey, enjoy your family, and enjoy your peace. Embrace the change that's gonna come. Change is gonna be a little difficult, it's gonna be challenging. As Heather mentioned this earlier, about just sometimes it's gonna be uncomfortable, but understand what your superpower is. But embrace the change that's gonna come, and then empty yourself. Empty yourself in this life. We talked about leaving legacy, the last L in the 3 L's that were mentioned earlier. Leave a legacy, empty yourself in this life. Make sure that when you leave this life, you leave yourself empty. Because you left everything out on the table for everybody else to pick up. And with that being said, I want to introduce my friend, my partner in purpose, this amazing gift to me and to all of you all. Thank you, Dr. Butcher. Well, it's so good. Hey, I gotta go out there. All right, hello, everyone. All right, so my journey started very different. I was born and raised in poverty. And my mother was 14 when she had me, and I had to learn at a very early age that poverty is a state of mind. Poverty is a state of mind. And I believe that when we embrace 3 things, I'm gonna get into it, it's gonna be fear, faith, and focus. The 3 F's, fear, faith, and focus. So when I think about my journey and really understanding how I had to unlearn a lot of the things that I learned and how I had to, I'm gonna use the word plow. I'm gonna use the word plow. How I had to plow my way through destiny. We're all created for a destiny, and destiny starts on the inside of you. When I realized that I was created for a destiny and a purpose, which purpose, we're talking about purpose-driven leadership. Purpose is very important because when you don't know what your purpose is, you'll do anything. You'll listen to anything. You'll go anywhere, and you will succumb to the patterns and conform to the patterns of the world. When you don't know what your purpose is, when you don't know what your purpose is, you'll accept any old job, you'll accept any old man, you will accept any old thing. And so for me, understanding what my purpose was at a very early age was very important. I'm not gonna sit here and say that I did not have trials and tribulations. I was always very, very smart in school, but I would fight a lot. The girls were always gonna fight me because their boyfriends fight me. So they had to fight me and my mom, and for a long time, I would fight back. And one day my mom said, you know what? If you don't fight back, I'm gonna fight you when you get home. And I thought, well, I definitely don't want my mom to fight me. So I'll never forget, I had my very first fight. They would pick on me, they would call me big eyed and everything. I used to cry, to go home and cry because they would call me big eyes, and my grandmother would say, you need to start telling them better receive with my dear. And so I, you know, they would talk about my eyes, and I would say better receive with my dear. And so I went through, you know, growing up, I had to overcome the spirits of rejection. And the reason I call it a spirit is because it's something that we can overcome. The spirit of rejection, so my mom being 14 years old, she had me, my father wasn't in my life. And so that can you can have an orphan spirit. And with an orphan spirit comes the spirit of rejection. There's a lot of spirits that are attached to being and feeling like an orphan. So for me, I had to overcome fear. Fear of everything in life. fear, the fear of moving forward in life, the fear of walking and what my purpose is and also what my destiny is in life. Some of you may be at a crossroads right now in your life where you are looking at where am I going and what do I need to do at this stage in my life? A lot of us were talking about the next generation of leaders. Now, if we are full of fear and we're not walking out in our purpose, what are we leaving behind for the next generation of leaders? What are we leaving behind? And I'll tell you, right now, we are not, the way the world is right now with business and small business ownership and entrepreneurship. 10 years ago, over the past 10 years, statistics show that 40% of Fortune 500 companies has been displaced. They're being disrupted by entrepreneurs that are creating innovative business models. And so when you think about the Blockbuster of the world, that's no longer here, Netflix went to Blockbuster and wanted to partner in the very beginning. And so Blockbuster said no to them. Where's Blockbuster now? They're gone. And so when I think about, where we are, okay, so fear, whatever it is that you have in your heart, do not be afraid to go. Embrace your go moments. Embrace your go moment. Because when you don't walk in boldness, and when you don't walk in your purpose, you're not only holding yourself back, but there are other people that are attached to you and your destiny and your purpose. You're not only holding yourself back, and a lot of times we think that, oh, it's just us. No, it's not just you. Your destiny is connected to the destiny of others. And so when I think about my journey and I'm overcoming and eradicating poverty through the work that I do in helping small businesses build successful and innovative and sustainable companies that they can pass down to the next generation. The Bible tells us that we are to leave an inheritance for our children's children. So if we are to leave an inheritance for our children's children, then we need to have something to be able to do that. We need to be able to buy land. We need to be able to own our ideas. We need to be able to own our creativity. You have to own in order to leave a legacy. You have to own in order to be a legacy, to build legacy. The next thing I want to talk about is faith. This isn't tied to religion. I don't practice religion. I'm not a part of any religion. I have a relationship with God, my creator. And so when I think about faith, faith is the substance of the things that you hope for, but it's the evidence of what you don't see. And so a lot of people want to try to take away the word faith. But how can we take faith away when it's the evidence of the things that we don't see, right? It's what we hope for, but it's the evidence of what we don't see, which means that as a little girl, if I would have not had the hope to continue to walk out of my destiny, then I would not be here today. I would not have been able to help the 8,000 people out of poverty. I would not have been able to help the women that I helped build successful companies. I would not have been able to, there is a such thing as a sacrifice, and many of us are not becoming the sacrifice that we need to become for the next generation of leaders. And so that is important. Faith is important. It's important. It's so interesting. When I expanded here to Arizona, and I share this story with Cameron all the time. And they had this whiteboard up, and they were gonna help me raise money to get in this office space. They were gonna do a GoFundMe account and everything. I told Cameron, I said, Cameron, I don't know, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it, that ESU thing. And Cameron said to me, Velma, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do it. I was doubting myself, but we did it, and we did it without GoFundMe. And so now being here, 3.5 years into being in Arizona, we've made so much impact. We're seeing business owners rising above the poverty line. We're breaking generational 3 minutes. We're breaking generational curses and cycles. See, this is the thing. This is what you need to know. Generational curses, it is within a bloodline, and it is a spiritual outcome for what our ancestors may have done. You're gonna have to be intentional about breaking the generational curses off of your family line. You're gonna have to be intentional. Well, how do you be intentional about that? Focus. The last step is fear, faith, and focus. Focus on the things that are important. Focus on the things that it is bringing purpose to your life and to the people that you are connected to. Now, if you are in a job and or in a position, whatever, and you're not walking and talking in purpose, you're sitting there just letting people do whatever they want to do, and you're not using your voice for change. You're not using your voice to make a difference because you are afraid that you will be fired. You're not walking in your purpose, and I'll tell you this, you can be fired from your job, but you can never be fired from your purpose. You can never be fired from your purpose, and so when you think about purpose leadership, that's why purpose is on the inside of you. The gifts and talents are on the inside of you. Your gifts will make room for me. It's not that I am this an amazing person. I do believe that I'm amazing, but I believe that it is the gifts that I carry on the inside of me that is determined to make a difference in this world. And when I die, I want to make sure that I die with nothing less on the inside of me, and that the next generation will have a blueprint to carry on what we're building. And so, fear, faith, focus. Thank you.
Yes.
I want the people online here. I really don't need.
There you go.
There we go. Okay. All right. Steve, you want me more time? All right, so let's get into it. We heard from these beautiful, amazing, and phenomenal women, and I am including myself in them. And I do have some questions, and so when you think about Monica, you are leading a huge initiative here in Arizona. We're talking about brown people being able to really get the equity that we can see. Heather, you now said you're starting your seventh business, which is actually understanding your business consulting side. Dr. Trey, how you come into this space. Myself I gave the job I got paid for it, she was only, so y'all heard me on report that, I didn't tell y'all what all the food was. Only openly shared what I get paid for. Yes, those important understand. In your views, based on what you all have going on in your day-to-day lives and in your businesses, what defines purpose-driven leadership, and why is it crucial for organizations today? Why is this purpose-driven leadership crucial within organizations today? And I'm gonna let Monica go first, because you talk about some of your staff in here, they're gonna look at you sideways if you line.
You wanna help?
No, we can turn it on.
His first was up.
Yeah.
This is up.
It's the speaker. You're right in front of the speaker. So if you move over one seat, I'm sorry.
We're gonna reposition here.
Little feedback.
What is the question? No, I'm kidding, I'm kidding. Okay, I'm just leaning this way, a little further, okay. So I think what's important for organizations to understand is if you want to thread purpose driven leadership into the DNA of your organization, it has to be holistic, it has to be consistent, and there has to be a lot of humility in it, right? And so. Okay, and there has to be a lot of humility, and I think that when companies do like individuals and come from a place of service, then that purpose-driven leadership is the example because it's in the entire organization. We talk about things like organizational culture, right? And so organizational culture is what you infuse into it and what others infuse into it. And so that makes you better for your customer, for your employees, for your board, for your state, for all of your stakeholders, right? And so I think the most difficult part is how do you define it? How do you define it as an individual? How do you define it in your organization? But I think that the most important thing is that it comes from a place of service and humility. You can't go wrong if you come from that place.
You know, you go a little bit deeper because I'm very, simplistic, I like to leave people with tangibles. So can you give a real life example of how this is implemented directly in your organization? How you are implementing this purpose-driven leadership and the outcomes that are happening like right now in the team?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, for instance, as the CEO in title of an organization, you get a lot of opportunities to go out and speak. You know, truth to power, you go out and you speak. It's one thing if I make that impact, it's another thing if I'm sharing those opportunities with staff members, right? So I want everyone on my staff to be the face of the organization. It shouldn't be any one person. And so Kayla's gone out to speak for us, Adrian's gone out to speak for us, and it is about making sure, one, we're all singing out the same songbook. And two, that they have those opportunities because it's this success of this organization is not because of any one person. And certainly not me as that person. So I think giving opportunities to others that they wouldn't have because of the title is an easy way for those that do have the title to share that privilege and that responsibility and to teach.
Heather, you talked a little bit earlier in your TED talk, and you gave us the example that, people were always looking for the older white women in the room, and you're over there sleeping. Right. So can you talk about purpose-driven leadership and how you implement that? You know, I see you give us examples of humility and that you're not too good to do anything that your teammates are doing. What are some things that you do to implement purpose-driven leadership throughout your businesses? I'm afraid of the speaker.
You're good, go ahead.
I'm good.
Gosh, I almost feel like I'd like to ask my admins that question. And not even gonna, I think, or I don't even willing to talk. Led leadership, you know?
One of you mentioned that sometimes we're at a crossroads and we don't know who we are. When you're working for a woman who wants to see change within women, we don't uplift each other. I'm from New York, so I've been to Atlanta, we don't uplift each other. I was born and raised in Harlem, New York, so I know we're diverse people, and we still don't uplift each other. So I watched when I'm sitting in office or I'm out on a construction site with her, I'm watching what's going on. And recently we actually decided to work out of a cigar bar. And this gentleman walked in and he heard us talking. And he looked at us as if we were working for someone else. And when he realized she was the owner, he was the white man in the room. He had a belly right up front of the cigar bar. And when he realized she was the owner,
it was just the most negative response, and he was also kind of in the same industry, because he owned a concrete company. So it's something that you can have a full-blown conversation with her about. And when he was, oh, you're the owner, literally that's what he said. And it inspires me because I feel that we should be authentic. We should be authentically ourselves. I went back to ASU to take my master's. I'm taking a leave. I recently lost my dad and it's been kind of hard, but I met a lawyer there at another event. She came in with her gold Versace heels on, and she was like, I am not gonna conform to what we're supposed to conform to. So when you work with someone who doesn't conform to this man industry, I'm supposed to look and dress and act a certain way because I am in a man-driven industry, it inspires to know, where am I going? I know I have a purpose, I found it, but working with her, I feel that I've known Heather about 6 years now. I just started working with her recently, and I feel that I was supposed to. Because this is the journey to find my purpose. So being in a room full of women, working for a woman who has to sometimes, I know we've all done it, we go in the shower, we're a mom, a single mom, whatever the case may be, sometimes we go in the shower and that's where we break down. Because we always have to have the strong face in front of everybody, and she has done that, and I've caught her knowing that she wants to break down. And I've caught her, I said, it's okay though. So being able to be with someone who's authentically herself, has done this for 27 years almost, has built other businesses behind her main business. And she wants to have a group of women under her to become someone, find their purpose. That means a lot. That means a lot. So-
I love that, and I love the genuine emotion that you display in talking about your leader. That defines that you are on your way, on the journey to walking out purpose discovery. Purpose discovery is ever evolving. One destination, one point can lead to another point, to another point, to another point. Right now, she's parting purpose. As Dr. Trina mentioned, there are people who have destiny helpers in your life that help you to achieve. Karen was a destiny helper in this particular situation. Dr. Jackie was a destiny helper. There's so many people in this room that have been destiny helpers to one another. And as we continue to collaborate and evolve, that right there touched my heart to see how there's a unified front, and I support what she's doing because it's also helping me find who I am. I love that. Thank you for allowing her to share.
No, thank you, Mercy. Appreciate you coming to talk to me. I do want to say one more thing. I want to talk about failure for a minute. I don't use that word, and it's not because I made a decision not to, it's because I don't experience it. And let me explain why. It doesn't mean that things don't go the way that I thought they would. It means that I want to learn my lessons as quickly as possible so that I can pivot in a manner in which I can then be successful. So when something doesn't work, that is not a failure. That is a gift. It is knowledge that means that I need to find another way, that didn't work, and it brings me closer to that pivoting towards success. So I absolutely, we talk a lot at the office about finding your superpowers. And we also talk a lot about just finding ways to add value. Because as I get to know my staff, right, because we're always getting to know one another, we see other things, we see things that they're great at, we see things that they don't excel at. And we want to help you go through the things that are difficult, but also recognize those strengths and put energy towards them. And don't put energy into that failure, because it's not, like I said, I'm not saying things don't go wrong. I mean, we all live a regular life, right? Things don't go as planned, but it is a lesson. And if there's a lesson that I can learn, and then you don't have to learn it because I can tell you about it, please let that be the case. And I want to learn from somebody who's already told me, because right, we rise together. We need to should be the sharer of that information. So,
Thank you so much. When you talk about purpose impacting the performance, actually kept talking about numbers. Actually, when we talk about the performance behaviors, hit those goals, hit those numbers. Yeah, now she is definitely goal oriented purposes. I love it. Talk about how being a purpose-driven leader impacts engagement. It inspires, productivity. Talk about what it does for engagement, productivity, and performance. That's a lot, right? People, I think, when leaders, a lot of time, they get into that, right, they're usually of an organization, maybe they're not like the owner of the organization, maybe they're like high level manager, works somebody, there's goals they have to hit, right? Somebody's telling them that they have to hit certain metrics or certain goals, we have goals to hit. And so I would say a non-purposeful leader would just take that and just say, you guys need to do it. I need this done, I need this done by this day, I need to do that, no context, so nothing behind it, right? I don't know if this is your strong suit, I don't know if this is your strong suit. You have to take a step back. You have to understand as a leader, all right, I know these are the goals and metrics that I need to hit. Who are my best soldiers to do X, Y, Z? Have you taken the time to learn what your team or individual strengths and weaknesses are? Because you're not going to hit your goals if you cannot find the best versions of people to do the job. It's not gonna happen. And so that's gonna affect you, and then it's gonna affect the organization. So you actually take a step back again and learn about the person's strengths and weaknesses. And that way, one, you can motivate them to do what you need them to do to hit your numbers. And then two, you're actually letting them be seen and heard. People want to feel seen and heard and understand, oh, maybe this will help me. They are listening to me. This is gonna help me get to the next level again. It's bigger than you. It's bigger than these numbers. That's just gonna happen. That's gonna happen. If you do this stuff right, the numbers, you're gonna hit your numbers. But what are you doing to really invest in the people around you, the team? Like, again, what Monica was saying, and you guys were saying, you're letting your team be seen. It's not just you as a manager and you want all the attention. That's not it. You get the attention by feeding into your team and letting them shine for you. If you're a real leader, you're gonna be smart. You don't need to do all the things. You're gonna get people around you that are gonna help lift you. That's what a good leader does, and you do it in the right way. Now you're building trust, you're building confidence in your team, and you will hit your numbers and your metrics. But you gotta look at it differently. Okay, so this is for, Dr. Sharon, I'm gonna need a minute. I wanna, because Heather has said businesses and, this month is a little change, I found a little accident on this. Monica. I saw two things. I was looking the other way, what challenges do you guys face in you're trying to drive purpose-driven leadership? And you have a leadership in your organization, you have some of those teammates, you have the unicorns and the exercise. Actually, you got a unicorn, you're wonderful, but you are very fun, truly, you are very fun. When you come alongside of your leader, but also speak to leadership. When you have the actions back there that are your team member leaders, and then you have our challenges, our opportunity people. How do you overcome those challenges? How do you navigate those waters? What do you do to continue to move forward? Sure.
It's a good question. I think that navigating through challenges is a constantly evolving process. It's something that you kind of learn as you go. But there are some things that I do. I just keep my head down and work. Right? I don't get caught up in that. So a lot of, I've had the benefit of mentoring some people, and some of them in the construction industry. And we talk a lot about people being misused. I'll just be generic in that manner. And I try to instill the idea that, yes, it's difficult. And yes, you're being mistreated. I mean, my animals are shocked sometimes at the way that men speak to me. Shocked. I mean, and they can attest to that. And it's not about men, it's about bullies, right? This is not a man thing, right? This is about people just bullying. And you know what? We talk a lot about the big picture, because the big picture is that person can say whatever they want to say to me. That person can speak in whatever tone they want to speak with me, and it's fine. I've got a thick skin. I can manage, I can go and shower, like she said later and deal. But meanwhile, I'm gonna get to work them. And it's interesting, Corinne said once, it's so interesting because you get on a phone call and you say, this is what needs to happen. And then these men nasty and bully, and then at the end, exactly what you said needs to happen is what ends up happening. And it's exactly right, because you just keep your head down and work. And I'm not making excuses for people, I'm not saying it's okay to be treated that way, but it will not be a deterrent for me to be successful. And I do have a big picture, and I do understand that there is absolutely something greater than that. So I think instilling these things and giving the people around you the power to also embrace that is very, very valuable. And it's a constantly learning thing. I don't know, I can't imagine not continuing to work, because I can't imagine not continuing to learn.
Yeah, I think when it comes to challenges, it's really about, are you reinforcing the right things, right, with an individual? And so sometimes you're doing them a favor, right? If they don't want to be there, they're not living their purpose and they're not finding that, then I'm not doing my job, and this probably isn't a really good, let's reassess, let's reevaluate. I think that, challenges are opportunities, they're opportunities that just haven't been figured out yet. And so when you have, employees that maybe don't fit the organizational culture, or, one of my biggest things is you can't want something more for people who don't want something more for themselves. That's a tough one, because I'm a fixer.
Yes.
I'm gonna fix it. You have an issue, I'm gonna fix it. I'm going to think of something greater and more amazing for you than you're ever gonna think of for yourself. But if you don't want that, I can't push that on you, right? And so I think finding out what the core of those challenges are, is it an organizational culture issue? Is it an individual lack of confidence issue? We are constantly, it's just the way of the world, we will constantly be underestimated. And early in my career, I had to learn how to manage that, right? And somebody very well said to me, the best thing that can happen is for you to be underestimated. Because guess who's going to be shocked when you over deliver? And so those are some of the tools I think that we need to implement. But also, another really important lesson to me was, it's time to let go of things that don't serve you anymore. There were things very early on in my career that served me that don't serve me anymore, that I have to let go of, right? I'll give you a big example. I remember people always, early in my career, and I was a bit more of a radical, softened in my head. But I would be very confrontational and very kind of in your face, and people would say, well, you don't look Hispanic. And my response was, thank you for that painful reminder. The white skin is a reminder of the ripping intelligence of my people. It's very caustic, right? People were like, there was no learning there. There was just me sticking my nose in the ground and saying, this is why, this is my history, and I'm gonna live in that history without moving forward. That's not healthy. It's not healthy. So now I use it as a teaching object. Interesting. Tell me why you do that. Let me know where you're, and when you get people to think about it, it's far more effective than just, trying to say something more caustic and shocking. So that's a goal, right? Letting go of something that just doesn't serve me.
Number one more question, but combining these last question that we're about to bring in. Yes, so how is your leadership in a organization, in the culture of an organization? What role does it play, and how do you see it evolving over the next few years from that generation?
It's interesting, everyone that I hire in any of my organizations, they must have a purpose.
is actually part of our interviewing process. We want to know what is your purpose so that we can help you to get to your purpose and your destiny. I'll tell you, I have experienced people that didn't have a purpose. And they were like, I don't even know what to say. They were disruptive. They they sold discord. They didn't have a spirit of love. They had no creativity, because when you have purpose and you're walking with purpose, it's a certain level of creativity and mental that you carry. And so for the work that I do, I'm talking about ending poverty through entrepreneurship. I'm gonna need trailblazers and innovators and people that are courageous. I'm gonna need people that are bold. I'm gonna need people that are fearless, right? And so you gotta have thick skin to do the work that I'm doing. You know, when I'm sitting in these rooms and people are saying, oh, why do we need to do that? Oh, this is the reason we need to do it. Why not? What do you mean? Why do you not need to do it? And so when I think about Jesus, when I think about purpose driven leadership, and when I look at the statistics in terms of the workforce right now with our millennials and our Gen Z, and so they are not working for companies that are not purpose and mission driven. The retention rate is very, very high. We're having to replace. And so I'm finding that more of, you know, the larger companies, even government organizations, economic development and empowerment companies, they are integrating purpose as part of their operational system. And so even a lot of the speaking engagements that I'm doing inside of public and private companies, it's on purpose-driven leadership. The leaders that embrace purpose and that are able to impart purpose into their team, those teams are going to perform better than people that don't embrace purpose. I think purpose is absolutely important. When you don't have a purpose, just think about, you know, the crime right now. When you think about people that just run around doing any and everything, you don't have a purpose. So that thing, understanding your why, what on earth are you here for? That's important in every day. And I think the next generation is going to figure out how to do it. TikTok and Instagram and other platforms are trying to tell them who they are. And I think that it's important. We're going to be the next generation of innovators, trailblazers, pioneers. It's our responsibility to help our next generation of non-entrepreneurs and women know that your purpose is not defined by what you wear, how many likes you have, how many people are looking or viewing your platform, is who you know that you're supposed to be and what impact you're going to make. With that being said, we are going to move into our thought. So validation, and you just mentioned about the likes and the shares of people on social media. I'm finding that people are they are depressed, they're oppressed because they're not getting likes on their social media. They're not getting the engagement. I encourage each and every one of you to know who you are, to know your value, to know exactly what your purpose is. Because if you allow the likes to dictate your value, you're not going to be around very long. I'll tell you, there are people watching. Some of my posts still show 69,000 impressions, but 13 people liked it. People are watching. They may not click the button, but always know that somebody is watching. So do not allow that to validate who you are. I call that stalking. That being said, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna split you all into small groups. I'm going to go to the room over there and I'm going to moderate those who are streaming with us online. And for you all in the room, you're going to be partnered into different sections with a particular panelist, and you get to engage in that small group one-on-one for a short time. And then we'll have a call to action, and then we'll go. So to take the next 15 minutes to split into our small groups. And, our amazing producer will tell us exactly what we need to do, what that's gonna look like. Here's everything.
Right, so put it here. Their names, whether they use each page, you choose who you want to interact. It's just an interactive session, you ask them very more personal, so you choose who you want to go to first. The points that we can look up. You're free to change, first, if you take 5 minutes, 3 minutes, to run something, we just have 20 minutes to do that. So we can go.
So actually, Kelly is there, one of the logos will be right here. I will be right there, and it's, Heather Bennett will be in the conference room by the front door.
Thank you so much.
All right, on here today, we have, and, yeah.
So my grandfather, and he made it hard. So, what is that? Yeah. So that, okay, well, that's one. But that's fun. So I did. Then
I should have bought the email.
Yeah.
I just think to us.
the first one, I love being there. You get talk about your day.
Maybe, yeah. Wait, I don't
Yeah.
We have.
I don't see your, I don't see your name. Oh, this is you?
Yeah. Just trying to make sure it was something for you. Because I really did the stuff.
Hold on. Let me do it from there. You can't start your video again. I didn't want to stop. What is she doing? This girl, man. I wish I would have did it the way that I wanted to do it from the beginning.
Can you start my video?
And she launched on her.
Maybe make me the co-host.
I'm gonna mute myself.
Is she using the phones? No, I guess she can just finish her. And then she's talking to them.
Mhm.
Okay. And then let me just, I'm sorry.
Oh, good, I need. Yeah, I would love that. So I just wanted to see.
Go for you. Okay, I think that's wrong. Okay. Okie doke.
Well, hello. Hopefully you all can hear me. Thank you, Marjorie, for asking people if they have questions to post them in the chat. Was I muted? Hey, now I'm not muted.
Yeah, no,
Okay.
that's
Okay, I'm seeing host and panelists. Okay. Don't see any questions just yet. If you have any questions for me, you can put those in the chat. I will be happy to answer those questions for you guys. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Happy Monday, and thank you all for joining us today.
Mhm.
If you all don't have any questions,
I guess she must be
Um,
something because she.
okay, happy Monday. Okay. Oh, they're coming in now. Okay, okay. Gotta wait for Get By Type. Oh yes, happy Monday. Do you recommend any books for women entrepreneurs to read and expand our knowledge? I would say for me, I love, let me give y'all some of my audiobooks collections. Okay. I'm an audiobook listener and I'm constantly always
So you know what's funny? You can
expanding
log into
my
Zoom and on
thinking,
your phone at the
my
same time.
my intellect, as well as
Okay, never mind. That's okay.
my business acumen. So one book that I'm reading right now or listening to is called Essentialism, and it's Essentialism. It's by Greg McKeown. It's a good one. It's about balancing yourself. Really good for entrepreneurs about what's essential and what's not. Sometimes the entrepreneur, you can take on too much. You may want to start 10 businesses. You need to really scale down to that one. You need to learn how to say no. That's really, really good. There's a good book that I also constantly sometimes listen to more than one time, and it's a book by Zig Ziglar. And I love it because we talked about purpose earlier today and our identity. And this particular book in itself will actually help you to think big and to inspire you to know that you can win no matter what your obstacle is. And so it's called Born to Win, and it's by Zig Ziglar, Zigziglar. Now, when you think about another book for entrepreneurs, when you're talking about dealing with your employees or dealing with other people, there's a book by Carrie Patterson that from a corporate perspective, we read called Crucial Conversations, to be able to have those difficult conversations if you're not able to. I read a book and send to my mentees, a book by Clay Scroggins called How to Lead When You're Not in Charge. It's basically like leading people who are not in particular. Say you are working for as a subcontractor, and there's some things that you need to get done, but you maybe not be in charge because you are a subcontractor, not the main contractor. You may want to know, how do I navigate these waters? And so there are so many things that you can do and can read. There are books, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, if you're talking about just money and mindset, things of that nature. But I love reading things that kind of help me think outside the box and inspire and creativity. So I hope that answered your question. I gave you a few books. Hope that helps. As a leader, even when you are a servant leader, not everyone will like you. Can you speak on this? Yeah, that's the point of understanding who you are. And this is what I want everybody to understand and understand this very, very sincerely. In your life, it's not about who doesn't like you. I just want to be clear. It's about who favors you. Because there can be so many people that don't like you that it doesn't even matter. They don't have a difference to make in your life, but it's who favors you. In my career, there have been people who couldn't stand me because I told you I'm loud, I'm authentic, I am confident in who I am. I'm just me. I don't want to be anybody else other than myself. I am excited about myself. I love who God made me to be. I have accepted my flaws and I've accepted my journey. And so for me, it's not about me not wanting to change or wanting to grow. It's about understanding if a person doesn't like me, it doesn't always really make a difference, because if I focus on that, then I will start feeling devalued and I'll start diminishing who I am as an individual. But if I give favor with the right person, if I understand that favor with the right people outweighs the dislikes of others. And so I do what I do and I live my life based on biblical principles. And if I think about the story of Esther, there was a lot of people that didn't like Esther. There was a lot of people that couldn't stand her because she was a Jew. There was a lot of people that didn't like her because she was in competition for the queenship. But it was the favor that she received with the king's guard that gave her the information she needed, what to soak in to get favor with the king. And so you got to stop looking at who don't like you. Because if you focus on who don't like you, you'll stop liking yourself and you'll start making that be your focus and what you meditate on versus on, let me worry about who is going to favor me. Let me worry about and focus myself on my purpose and what I'm supposed to be doing. And I'm not saying that certain things don't hurt because we do have emotions. However, you have to learn to identify when those emotions are being fueled and flamed by your own insecurities, or is this a genuine emotion that you need to address, or is it something that you need to get therapy for? And so for me, I look at emotions like seasoning. I enjoy a good meal, right? And I'm from Atlanta, and my family inherently is from Alabama, so we eat good. And so for me, I like my food seasoned real good. Not a lot of salt, but I like the season. I like flavor. Emotions are like seasoning. They're like flavors. But if I were to take a bucket or a bowl of seasoning and eat it, that's not healthy. But if I have a piece of steak or a piece of lamb or a piece of salmon and it has zero, or for the vegetarians or the vegans, a piece of eggplant or something, and it has zero salt, pepper, seasoning on it, it's bland by itself. And so the seasoning complements it. But I don't eat the bowl of seasoning or the tablespoon of salt or the tablespoon of pepper. Why? Because the seasoning is supposed to add flavor and enhance, not overpower it. And so that's what your emotions are. So learn to deal with your emotions in a way where you're not focused on who doesn't like you. I'm telling you, in this journey called life, who like you don't even, in the big scheme of things, who like you don't even matter. Who don't like you don't even matter. Who does not like you doesn't matter. It's who favors you that truly matters. And there are people that don't like you that can favor you. All right. Thanks for the reading recommendations. When you were in the beginning stages with minimal capital, what recommendations you have on how to begin planning and pushing your business? What I always tell people to do is understand both personal and business credit, right? So you need to make sure that you establish good personal credit and understand things that happens in life where our personal credit may get compromised and we may have challenges. But understanding personal and business credit. The first way to get access to capital for a business, you start small, get you a business credit card. So first, you got to make sure that your business is properly established. Make sure you have a tax identification number. Make sure you're registered with the local Secretary of State, and make sure you open up a business bank account with your local bank or your credit union. When you do that, typically, they will give you a business credit card if your personal credit is up to speed. You also can get you a DUNS number, and you can start establishing your business credit. There's small little companies that will give you small business credit and access to capital. If you're a nonprofit, you want to think about going towards getting grants and getting fundings and sponsorships and things of that nature. But you want, for access to capital, you need cash flow. You want to make sure that we have great personal credit, but you also make sure that you start establishing your business credit. And the best way to do that is through a small business credit card first. And then as you grow and evolve, business lines of credit and so on and so forth. All right. How do you handle false narratives created by some people that you have sacrificed for? I think what you do is you be consistent and you focus and forge forward. In my life, there have been people who've made false narratives about me based on my outward appearance, based on my volume of my voice, based on me being animated. And people have made false narratives about myself. And there are people that I have sacrificed for. There are people that I have gone to bat for and didn't know behind the scenes they were the haters, right? But in those situations, I still remain consistent. I still remain consistent because my character and my integrity is very, very important and critical to me. And so understanding that whether or not I understand where people are in their journey and their insecurities is not really my business. What my business is to do is make sure that I remain consistent I remained focused. I remained integral. I remained humble. And eventually, over time, my consistency, my integrity, my humility, and my reputation of a good name will speak for itself. And those false narratives and those things will begin to fall. But it's really important to forgive those people and move on, because if you harbor it in your heart and you don't move past it, you will find yourself being frustrated, and you find yourself wasting breath in moments where you could be maximizing purpose in other areas because you're so busy focused on what people are saying about you that's not true. When you start spending more time on defending a lie, you can't really walk in truth. Focus on walking in truth. The lie would dissipate. Eventually over time, listen, the lie will dissipate. And if you're doing right, people that are opposing you are not opposing you, they're opposing God. And so stay focused. All right. She said, yes, I've dealt with that too. Being different is hard. It's really, what I want you to understand is that being different is only as hard as you make it. See, the reason why being different is hard is because you want validation and you want to fit in. And listen, there's nothing wrong with wanting to be accepted. There's nothing wrong with wanting validation. There's nothing wrong with wanting to fit in and wanting to know where you belong. But the reason why being different for you is hard is because you have to have the self-reflection of, man, I'm really wanting to fit in, and I really want to belong, and I really want to be validated. And so that has its place. But the only way to overcome that, and the only way to move past that, is to understand that if nobody ever validates me, if nobody ever allows me to fit into where they are, I'm confident enough in who I am and who are the people that God has placed in my life to know that my presence in any situation is the difference maker. When I show up in a room, my presence demands an explanation. When I show up in spaces, things change, things shift, and things work for the better. And when you begin to understand that, people will begin to come alongside you, and people start saying, you know what, that thing you did today was very good. That thing that you brought to the meeting was awesome. You know, I love how you do this. Validation will organically come. But when you have this need to be validated, need to be accepted, then being different becomes a challenge. It doesn't become an honor and a gift. It is a responsibility for you to be different. Your fingerprint, you were born different. Your fingerprints and your DNA strands, although we can identify who our family members are, there's still a differentiator in us. Although people say, oh, you favor so-and-so, or you look like so-and-so. Anybody ever tell you look like so-and-so, you remind me of so-and-so? I'm still different. Although there may be some similarities, some blueprints, some straw mans, some templates, you're still different. And so I believe that if you lean into being different, you'll really find the joy and fulfillment that you're really looking for. Yeah, I love it. Take it or leave it. I love it. You said, I'm me. I love that. I love that. Yes, I am on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn at Erin Floyd /successful one. I am on Instagram at the Erin Floyd. I'm on Facebook at Erin Floyd Ministries and Erin Floyd. Those are my socials. Yeah. And the part about take it or leave it, this is what I would say. I had to learn a balance because I'm still a little rough around the edges, honestly. But we do need accountability. And so there were times where I would show up in corporate spaces with that mindset, like, this is me, like whatever. And so I had to learn when to hold them and when to fold them. You know, there's times where I was really genuinely needing things to change, but my approach may have been a little, and I won't say too authentic, I would say raw. It was just raw, right? And so everybody's in different stages in their ability to receive. And when you're having challenging conversations, and when you're challenging the status quo, and when you're having those discussions about how things are different, I got to wrap up, y'all. I got 1 minute. When we're talking about how things need to be different in certain spaces, in certain corporate arenas, from a diversity perspective, in a woman's perspective, you have to make sure that when you show up, your voice is truly heard. And so I had to learn sometimes that couldn't always have a take it or leave it attitude. I had to say, okay, I need to get around some people to help tell me when I'm doing too much, or let me let me run this past somebody to help me to guide the conversation to make sure that I'm showing up as myself, but maybe I don't use these harsh words. Maybe I don't be too raw, so you'll learn that as well. But I appreciate you guys. I'm about to close this room. Thank you so much, Marjorie, for helping us moderate the chat. Thank you so much, you guys, for your amazing questions. And I am going back to the main space to conclude this. I hope you guys have really enjoyed yourself today, and we thank you guys so much for joining. All right.
And I can introduce myself. I'm at the Chamber of Winona, and I was wondering if I do our social media and marketing, if y'all could send me the photos.
Sure.
Because
You have your,
I have my business card is digital. I don't know
Okay.
if that would be easiest to share. We can exchange. I know your photos are probably a lot better than what I got.
I hope so. Oh, it's not coming out.
Oh, you know what? I don't know if it's my service. Oh, sorry.
It's not coming up.
I can come back out there.
Everyone.
Okay, okay.
Thank you all so much.
Yeah, let me, there you go.
All right, everyone, we are reconvening. There we go. Ooh, not chair, I'm waiting on you. It's actual. Where's Monica? Oh, she, okay, Monica has to go back to work. No. Oh, she's in bed. Oh, well, I didn't wanna wait, you want me to wait for her, or would you like me to proceed?
Well, I just want to say thank you to all of you
Yes.
fabulous women. Because I wish I had more time to talk to everyone, and I'm happy to do so, and I think I speak for all of us. What a badass. Thank you guys for coming and giving up yourself as well.
Connect with us on LinkedIn. Reach out to us, stay connected, and to do that so that we can have better conversations. But I would say the same thing, I'd love to talk to somebody one-on-one. So if you ever need anything, please reach out, happy to talk. And do some stuff, you know? I do mean it, but thank you. Yeah, we don't want you guys to go through what we went through, which you guys do better into, well, get those things.
Or learn quickly.
You can, we can do a quiz or we can.
Okay.
Anything what we can do, we can ask.
Okay, let me ask you a question. Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question. Because I have, on behalf of the board, we have, two scholarships for Millionaire Mastermind Academy. This is the fall board for the fall of 2024. This is a $1,500 value, and that's really, because it's really $2,000 value, it's a $1,500 value. It'll give you an opportunity to get small business mentorship from the Millionaire Mastermind Academy team that has a team of small business, executive level experts, people from all over this nation that partake in this amazing program. And so I want to ask this question: who has a startup business that you have been struggling to get access to capital and get off the ground in the way that you need to? And I see two people. I see two people. I see two people. Well, oh, okay. I wear glasses in real life. 4 people? 4 people? Okay. All right.
2 women I spoke to.
Which 2 women did you spoke to? Okay. Can I, okay, this is hard. I got the 2 y'all. Whose business is one that if you were to receive this all cohort mentorship, you would literally do the work and make sure by 2025, you were in a different space to scale your business into another level? Who's gonna do the work? Okay. Okay, thank you. I need that honestly, because it's gonna be work, right? So what's your name on here? May? All right, May. May, congratulations.
Small business factories, individual type of people, investments, so I'm into everything.
And Asia is one of our AZ alumni. Your history and Chandler, if you have Chandler.
And also.
So that battery shall be the nonprofit, right? So we had a 4 point for nonprofit in the foundation. Because we started making, okay, I'm getting down too much with it. Call to action, call to action. We want you all, as you mentioned, to follow us all on LinkedIn, if you have the ability to do so. Everybody can check the LinkedIn, I'm Erin Floyd, / the second one. Actually, you are on LinkedIn as Ashley B. Kelly. I have a pink suit on, but it's. There you go.
Everyone, LENN. And we're gonna start doing like every now and again, kind of informal lunches. Where you just, bring your brown bag and come and hang out and talk and be amongst other women doing what we're doing. So if you're interested, Corinne, my admin, is gonna stand up. Patty is Corinne. So if you wanna give her your information, we're happy to, address this.
Yes.
And as Yellows on LinkedIn, and you can also come to the azhcc.com website for the Arizona Hispanic Chamber and track me down. Thank you.
And I am Velma Trahan on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook, and I am Millionaire Mastermind Academy. Is on Instagram, Millionaire Mastermind Academy, and you know, maybe water. Who's on this? Oh yeah, Millionaire Mastermind Academy, and you know what? I want to pay respect to y'all. Many of you know that, you know, my partner, Robin Lee, he's having his, you know, gained a beautiful soul. And I want to honor his wife that's here today, Sean Lee. And I am truly honored to have been appointed the new CEO for the Arizona Black Chamber by the board of directors and yeah. You know, I'll say to you, this is what I want to leave you all with. Give people their flowers while they are alive. Give people their flowers while they are alive, and understand that love conquers all. Evil, dark, and light cannot coexist. And so you want to be a beacon of light wherever you go, in whatever you do, and goodness will follow you. Because whatever it is that you sow, shall you reap. Whatever it is, and a lot of people say, oh, what do you mean by that? Well, whatever it is. If you are sowing discord, if you're sowing gossip, if you're sowing not doing anything, if you're not doing anything with your, whatever it is that you sow, you're gonna reap that. And so when you sow peace, when you sow love, when you sow, you know, helping others, when you sow the spirit of empowerment, when you sow into others, by that measure, so shall you receive just that. So I want to leave that with that. Absolutely, and we honor you, Mrs. Reed, and thank you for loaning your husband, have the opportunity and privilege to do some things with Dr. Reed as well, and beautiful soul. And so thank you for allowing us him and allowing him to support and participate in things that inspire and empower, especially Black business owners. So we appreciate you and we honor you for your sacrifice. And our condolences. All right. Everybody, if you all, before you leave, if Ms. Reed doesn't mind, make sure you love on her before you go. And let her know how much you appreciate, because we are really standing on the shoulders of the work that Dr. Reed did in Arizona. And so we can't stop, and we won't stop. And I think it's an honor that the board selected you to carry that mantle forward. That's a huge cross to bear, but I know you can do it with a hold your arms. If you could please take a picture of the QR code. Oh, wait a minute, social face. Please take a picture of the QR code that we have here to support Media Mastermind Cafe, would be wonderful. So to register for our fall cohort, and you'll be assigned a mentor, as I mentioned before, but you must do the work. We do not allow lack of participation, we do not allow lack of homework, we will kick you out, because we are sacrificing time, effort, energy, and resources to make sure that you are successful. The next thing we want to do is make sure that you submit any testimonials that you have. Submit it to the Millionaire Mastermind Academy email inbox. Go on social media, post this event, please take some pictures before we leave. And one thing that I was asked to do was to pray us out. And so I'm gonna just bring some declarations over all of us. I know we talk about forging forward and purpose, and we talk about moving forward and advancing and what we believe we're supposed to be doing and how we're going to get there and what this city needs and what this nation needs. And I believe that the women in this room, we've been graced to do this. And so we all can just stand and we're gonna leave out and y'all eat that you take pictures and post on social media. And this is a celebration, so their celebration. Okay, we got communion. Father, in Jesus' name, we just thank you for the ability to come before you. Father, I thank you for every single last woman that you grace in this earth for such a time as this. I thank you for every mantle, every responsibility, every fingerprint, every breath, every step, every pain, every situation, every family member, every question, every ebb, every flow, every up, every down. I thank you that it all matches to your divine will and is orchestrated for their divine purpose. Father, I thank you that you're working things for their good. I thank you from this moment forward that we mark this day into eternity, that on March the 18th of 2024, that we choose to rise forward. We choose to rise and we choose to rise together. We choose not to look back. We choose to advance forward and we choose to make a difference. I thank you that every person that is struggling with what they're called to do, who they are in their purpose, Lord, you begin to reveal yourself and make yourself known. You are the master creator. Show yourself strong. Reveal that woman on the inside of them that you called them to be. We call for every woman to arise. We speak to every sleeping giant. We call it to wake up. We speak to every purpose and say, wake up. We speak to every business and say, wake up. We speak all over this nation and all over this world. We command women all over to rise up, wake up, take your rightful place, and let's advance and forge forward. We rebuke distractions, we rebuke insufficiency, we rebuke lack, we rebuke self-sabotage, we rebuke rejection, we rebuke pride. And Father, we thank you that we are dancing in your joy, in your grace, and in your mighty power. Father, we be sure to give you the glory, honor, and the praise in Jesus' name. Let's run together. We have t-shirts for sale and we do have paraphernalia, both support at the table up front, and make sure you pop a bottle in community and make sure you eat some food. We pay for it. Leave here without at least 2 business cards from someone that you did not know when you walked in the door.
I've been a bartender for 3 years.
Thank you. Girl power.